of the pre-K series. Oh, sorry, Rachel. I always forget to give her the heads up. This is a pre-K chat on pre-literacy skills, helping your child at home. My name is Roberta Crouch. I am one of the family engagement facilitators for the Syracuse City School District. I'm over Parent University, and we have the rest of our Office of Family Engagement leadership team on the call, so I will let them introduce themselves. Nina?
Good evening. I'm Nina Vergara, Family Engagement Facilitator at the Westside Quadrant. Welcome.
Erica?
Good evening. I'm Erica Murray. I am the facilitator for the Nottingham Quadrant. So I work with the schools and the families on the east side, as well as all of our alternative programs. So welcome.
And Mary Lisa?
Good evening. My name is Mary Lisa Wade. I am also a family engagement facilitator. I work in the Corcoran Quadrant, would be the south side of town. Thanks.
And we have one family engagement facilitator who's not here this evening. Her name is Selena Lazarus, and she works with the families in the Henniker Quadrant, which is the north side. And then I will have Rachel introduce herself.
Hi, I'm Rachel Fleming. I'm the administrative assistant for the Office of Family Engagement. Welcome.
Thank you. And just go over a few housekeeping rules. We're asking that you guys keep your phones or computers muted throughout the presentation. If you have any questions, we ask that you wait till the end and put them right in the Q&A bubble at the bottom of your screen, and we'll read them off for you, and hopefully we'll get them answered, or we'll find a way to get the answer to you. So I want to introduce our facilitator tonight, Jackie Adamo. She is the preschool to kindergarten transition liaison, and she will be leading us through this chat. So I will hand it over to you, Jackie.
Well, thank you. And I want to first thank the Office of Family Engagement team. You're great. Thank you for assisting me with this series of chats. So I am a liaison in the special education office, but I'm a 30-year plus teacher. I'm certified both in general education and special education. And today I'm presenting one of my favorite topics. It's pre-literacy skills for preschool. It's what it's all about. It's the beginnings of our young ones beginning to read. And so it's school age from preschool experiences up through second grade. We are teaching the actual structure of learning to read, phonics and things like that. From second grade on, you read to learn. So reading, as you know, is extremely important. And there are a lot of things that parents do and can do more of at home to get their child ready to do that reading thing, and which will, again, ensure success throughout their lifetime. So let's get started here. So in this chat, we're going to discuss pre-literacy skills, so pre-reading skills you can begin to teach your child at home. And it's not like you're like, oh, I don't know if I can do that. I'm not a teacher, but as we discussed in our last chat last week, you are your child's teacher. Your family, your friends, your child is always learning and always watching you. So yes, you are able to do this, and you're probably already doing this already, and you'll see that you are. So you're going to begin these pre-reading skills, and then we're going to talk about some strategies to teach your child these pre-reading skills, pre-literacy skills. And again, you'll find that you're doing a lot of this already. And then we will discuss, since I am a special education teacher, also we're going to discuss additional strategies if your child may have special needs, or if you suspect your child has special needs, maybe is a little delayed, isn't speaking like, as much, isn't speaking, or if you know for sure your child has been identified with a special need. And we're going to go over that and hopefully give you lots of ideas. So I'm going to begin by the 5 pre-literacy, and again, these are pre-reading skills you can begin to teach at home. The first one is print awareness. Think about it. Print is everywhere. I'm staring at my screen. I see a big zoom everywhere. Billboards, books, your name tags. So print is everywhere, but print is a abstract concept. It isn't something that comes from nature. It's man-made over centuries upon centuries in different languages. And then, of course, from verbal language to the written language. So it is an abstract concept. And for some children, it can be very hard to learn. So we're going to look at print awareness, also motivation to read. Does your child do they like reading? Do they want to read? Are they curious about words? Listening comprehension. That's the foundation, of course, of reading comprehension. And when we talk about, preschool pre-reading, we know that, some children may be reading by 3 and 4 and recognizing words, but most children are not. But they begin that comprehension piece by listening to you and understanding what is going on in what they hear. Letter knowledge, and then finally, phonological awareness. And that's something that we talk a lot about now. I know when I began my teacher prep programs, I had no idea what phonological awareness was, but phonological awareness is the idea that words are broken down to individual letters, which when grouped together or pronounced singularly produce sounds like, C is K and short A is E and T is T, and put them together, it's cat. And I mean, that's a very basic definition, but we'll talk a little more about that as we move along. Print awareness. So this is a little brief video, and let's listen.
Let's read Green Eggs and Ham. Look, green eggs and ham. These are the words on the page. Do you see any more words? Right, there's more words. This is the front of the book. That's where the cover page is. And look, there's lots of pages in here.
Mama,
Yeah,
behind here.
that's the back of the book.
What's here?
That is Dr. Seuss. Cool. He's got a crazy hat on. All right, let's read our story. I am Sam.
So just to stop right there, as you can see, one of the biggest, the most important foundations of children understanding print, getting ready to read when they get into a more formalized school program in preschool or kindergarten, is to just understand what a book is, how we use it, how we hold it. Why do we want to read a book? Why do we want to hold and look through a book? Why is it important? What does a book contain? It contains all these lovely pictures and words. Some books contain objects and some books contain texture. So we want to really explore books. And of course, in a home environment, that's a great place to do that. Cuddled up with your child, especially in the winter months, curling up with a good book and just talking about the book and looking at the book. Oops.
Hey, those are the letters on the page.
What are those?
Those are dots on the side. Just makes it look pretty. A told B and B told C. That's the letter L. Do you know whose name starts with the letter L?
Me.
Levi! L-M-N-O-P, right?
What down dots was?
That's the letter J. Mommy's name is Jenna. My name starts with a J.
Oh, there.
That's an I.
For Dada.
No, I is the letter at the end of your name. Your name's spelled L-E-V-I. Cool. Daddy starts with D. D for daddy. That one's over here. This one right here is the letter D.
So any opportunity to pinpoint, to point out to your child, to have a conversation about letters and what they are. Of course, visually, children see letters and words everywhere. So really explicitly explaining what they are and, giving them those repeated experiences with the variety of letters in the alphabet to help them to begin to recognize them and understand that those letters come together they have sounds and they come together to make words so that we can have meaning. Oops. Oh, I think that's it. Okay. Oop, sorry about that. So, and again, I'm sorry. I am very good at reading, but not so great at text sometimes. So here we go. Oops. There we go. So not only are you going to point out print in words, in books, of course, print and words are everywhere. Signs, teaching words in the community and at home. Names. One of a nice activity to do with children is sorting the mail. During the holidays, you may be getting cards. Oh, where's our name? Oh, who's this card for? Oh, look, it's for mommy, or it's for daddy, or it has my name on it. Grandma sent me a letter. Things like the foods that they eat over dinner or breakfast, talking about, can you pass the milk? Oh, look at that. Look at the milk carton. Look, milk. Of course, and then there's some more important, serious reasons we teach children certain words right away. For instance, danger. That's a really important word and symbol. And of course, at this level, children are recognizing not only the word, they're recognizing certain symbols. Of course, you see a skull and a crossbone, that means poison or danger. And of course, I have never met a child that does not recognize the golden arches, right? With or without the word. But again, when you see this, not only do we know this is McDonald's, maybe pointing out this word says McDonald's, okay? So again, they're everywhere. And our schools. Now moving on to motivation. How do we motivate our child to read? Read them stories. Show your love of reading. A lot of studies show that parents who read regularly often have children who love to read and read regularly. Children need to see books in the home. And, yes, you can read on a tablet, and yes, we read on the computer, but I'm a real big fan of books and magazines. So having a lot of materials, cookbooks, recipes that children see you engaging with, that's one of the first and best ways to teach a child a love for reading. Let your child choose a book. Go to the library with them periodically. Very young children, of course, can go to the library and choose books, even if they're choosing by the pictures. You can choose together and make it really fun. Let your child pretend to read. I know we've all seen toddlers, they pick the biggest, hardest book and they're just talking and making up the words, and that's great. And in school, we call that a picture walk. So let them walk through the pictures, demonstrate to them, with a nice book, instead of reading the words, read the pictures and demonstrate how they might do that themselves. Reread books. My grandson lives with me, and when he was young, we could all recite all the same books, and there were certain books. Matter of fact, we were looking at them and kind of sad that now that he's a teenager, can't read them anymore. But I have some books memorized, and so will they, and that's important. When they memorize books, they're also understanding that the words have meanings in the books, and making sure that you point out those words when you read those favorite books. Again, visit the library and then use different types of books. There's all kinds of books, cookbooks, lots of interactive books. There's a lot of sensory and tactile books out now that are really fabulous for young children, especially. I have, and I'm going to show you later, I have a lot of resources. There's lots of stuff you can get online, or if you're interested, and we'll talk about it for, learners who are really busy. I have all kinds of interactive books that you can make with Velcro, and they can move pictures around and things like that. So it's a lot of, there's a wide range of reading. And yes, it's okay to curl up with the tablet and read off of a tablet and point out the words in the tablet. It's very motivational for children. Okay, you can watch this video if you can point out, the A or the, this or that. Listening comprehension. So again, of course, when I taught second grade for many years, and we went from learning the structure of reading, the phonics, and although in second grade we still continue teaching phonics and word study, phonological processing, all of that, we moved on to reading to learn. And we did a lot of work reading books in nonfiction books, science books, social studies books. So comprehension is really important. And in young children, it starts with listening. And not only will good listening skills lead to good, strong comprehension skills, but it will also help your child as they transition into more formal school programs. We're going to be talking about that next week, how you might begin preparing your child to be in a more formal program if they already are not, or for kindergarten, which is a huge step from even preschool. The amount of work and academics that is expected from children from preschools to kindergarten is like a big jump. So if they can listen and understand what you're saying in and out of the context of books, even in just directions, that'll be a big help for them as they move along. Of course, listening comprehension is the ability to understand spoken language. It involves hearing, understanding, responding to what's being said, and again, for following directions, and it helps with reading comprehension. All of these, and again, we discussed these earlier, why are we working with our child? Why is it really important? Because it'll lead to success later on in life and in school. So hearing versus listening. Children, unless your child has been identified with a type of disability, hearing impairment, your child can hear you, but there's a difference. When you hear, you're able to detect sound. Of course, you use your ears and the structure of your ears. Sometimes with young children, if they're not hearing well, there could be issues with the inner ear, ear infections. And that's something you need to, see your doctor about. Listening, on the other hand, is what you do with it, what you do to hear, and you listen to pay attention. So the difference for me is with hearing, you're actually, when you listen, you're doing something with it. You're doing something with it. And you can improve your hearing if there is a problem, like if, some children might need hearing aids, or there might be an issue, like I said, with inner ear imbalance or something, and you can get that treated and your hearing can improve. But listening, you definitely can improve through practice. And that's what we're attempting to do when we read and talk to our preschoolers, is really, increasing their ability to listen and listen to things that they're not necessarily always interested in. Last week, we talked about adult-centered activities and child-centered activities, or preferred or non-preferred. Some people will say to me, "Oh, my son or daughter, my child can sit for hours listening to their favorite music, but the minute I want to do something, they can't do that." And again, that's the difference. So we want to, in preschool years, we want to increase their ability to listen to non-preferred activities. That, again, that's what's going to be happening as they move to formal education programs. So we're motivating students. Now we're talking about, we're pointing out print, but now we're going to teach the letters. And for preschool, it's really good. Like in preschool programs, they'll really work on identifying letters. I think the first place we always start with children is identifying the letters in their name, identifying the letters in words around the house. But not only are children going to be asked to identify letters, they're going to be having to pair those letters with sound. Research tells us, good reading research tells us, that being able to identify letters alone will not help us to begin to read. We need to be able to identify the letter and the sounds they make. Now, with English, the English language, that can be challenging because letters can make several different sounds, and letters combined with other letters make even more different sounds. And it's a very, if you talk to linguists, it's a very difficult language sometimes to learn because of that. And then as you move along in learning that whole process, there's all kinds of exceptions. But in the beginning, teaching a child to identify the letter, but then the sounds they make. And of course, we're going to begin with those short sounds, okay? The short vowel sounds and the basic consonants. As they move along, then we're going to look at like different types of combinations, like ch, ch, and th. But that'll be on as they move in through school. But this is a good place to begin. I saw this video. This is great. And we'll watch a little bit of it.
All right, get your apple out. A says like apple. A says like apple.
So research, reading research, good reading research is telling us that when you're teaching children letters, you should combine the letter with an object with the sound. And the sound, when you're talking about it, should be the last thing they hear. So again, that apple says ah.
A says like apple. Ready? B says ba. B says ba. B says ba. Ready? Get your cups. C says k, cup. C says k, cup. C says k, cup.
So as you can see, we're not going to go through the whole alphabet, but it's very repetitive. Children love repetition. But for very young children, you might do this as like if you see an apple on the table and do that. Apple, and as you go through your day, or if you're doing something more formal at home, you might take different letters and group the letters, and we'll talk about that in a minute and how you would group learning those letters. But you probably wouldn't want to sit through this whole video. Later on, as the child begins to enjoy this kind of thing, you may find that when they have tablet time, they may want to listen to something like this that will help them just reinforce and practice those sounds so that when they get introduced to them in their more formal education, they'll be able to recognize it. It's like pre-teaching things that will already come for them, that will come. Oops, I need to get out of this video. Nope,
Here we go. D.
There we go. So what order do you teach letters in? Generally, we like to teach the uppercase, like when a child especially is learning to write their name, they'll write it in the uppercase letters. And it's because they're visually distinct. They're often encountered in the community. A lot of times when you see signs in printed words, like on cartons or on boxes, you'll see them in capital letters. So that's where we generally begin, but it's okay to, begin with lowercase. And I mean, you can point them out in the environment, or I have tons of different types of decks that, again, if you contact me, I can share a lot of materials with you if you want to do something with learning these letters. You're going to teach them in groups, like I said. The younger the child, the lower the attention span, the less the attention span. So you're not going to work on the whole alphabet. You might start. This is like a common preschool letter order. And you can see, like in the first line, they might teach in the same, few weeks, teach S, A, T, I, P. And notice on each grouping, there's a vowel sound because you want to teach the vowel sounds, the short vowel sounds as soon as possible so that your child can start perhaps recognizing and decoding CVC words. Those CVC stands for consonant, vowel, consonant, like the word cat. C-A-T, K-A-T, consonant, vowel, consonant. So if you're, really wanting to dive into this, here's a nice little format to begin doing that. And again, if your child is already in a preschool program, they have already begun some of this. And if they're not, you can. And there's also tons of videos that you can use. I would though recommend that you use videos that group the letters and maybe teach a couple letters at a time rather than just going through the whole alphabet because it can be overwhelming. So this is a great video. I love this video. As you watch this video, I want you, so we talked a little bit about, how you would begin to work on pre-reading or pre-literacy skills. Some of the things you would do, like pointing out print, pointing out words, actually practicing letters, directly practicing them, directly practicing sounds. Reading, of course, will be the biggest part of your home pre-reading, pre-literacy program because, we're not asking you to get worksheets, have children drill. To me, I think the most important thing you can do as a parent is to read with your child, model the reading process, and make it happy for them, make them enjoy it, because that will be the heavy lifting. So you're doing the heavy lifting when you just simply read to your child. We often have bedtime routines where we include books, but I'd like to say, include reading throughout your day. The break is coming up for the winter break. There's some holiday stuff happening, amongst all the hubbub and all the celebrations. Take a time to take your child aside, sit somewhere cozy, read a book. You're over to your relative's house, have auntie sit down and read with your preschooler, or grandmas love to do that. Grandpas love to do that. So those are just some things you can do. So as we watch this video, can you identify some of the strategies? So think about what this parent is doing to teach pre-reading skills. Okay.
Reading with your child should always be a special time for both of you. Watch Denise and her 3-year-old daughter Kosi as they begin a new book, Alice the Fairy by David Shannon.
Alice the Fairy. What letter does Alice start with? A. Alice the Fairy by David
Shannon.
Yes, David Shannon. My name is Alice. I'm a fairy. I'm not a permanent fairy. I'm a temporary fairy. You have to pass a lot of tests to be a permanent fairy.
Now Denise has barely started reading, yet she's already setting the stage. Notice how she didn't rush. Reading with your child should be a warm and happy time for both of you. By spending time on the cover, she let Kosi know how books work, that books have titles, and that a real person wrote the story. And by asking Kosi about the letter A in a casual way, she is preparing Kosi for learning the alphabet and ultimately learning to read. As Denise reads more of Alice the Fairy, watch as she looks for ways to involve Kosi in the reading process. She invites Kosi to turn the pages of the book. She takes opportunities to talk and expand Kosi's vocabulary, and she reads with expression. She's not afraid to ham it up, and you shouldn't be either.
Uh-oh, what happened, Kosi? Look. What happened?
Juice.
What happened to the juice?
Pill.
What did she do? Oh, now look at her face. How does she feel?
Mad.
She's mad. But a fairy must be very careful with magic. Once I accidentally turned my white dress into a red one. That made the Duchess so mad she locked me in the tower forever. I got away, though. Oh. Where is she? Where do you think she is there?
In a bedroom.
In her bedroom, yeah. You want to turn the page for me? Thank you. Uh-oh. What is she eating? What is that?
Lemon juice.
No, right here.
Broccoli.
Broccoli. A fairy's life is filled with danger. Broccoli is often poisoned by the wicked Duchess and should never be eaten.
Broccoli, good for you.
You're right. It is good. I like broccoli.
Me too.
But not that fairy.
Even though this is reading time for mom and daughter, Denise even finds a way to support Kosi's emerging math skills.
Whoa, what are those fairies doing?
Playing.
Wow, there's lots of them, too. How many do you think?
1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Maybe you do something.
Okay.
So think about it. Think about all the skills that you can start to review and begin to present to your child in the context of a book. Colors, shapes, counting, just conversation. I love the segment where she talks about the broccoli and, mom, she moves on, but she still, she answers the question. They talk about broccoli and then she just gently moves her on. That's the groundwork of teaching children how to communicate with others, how to be interested in things. It goes back to some of the things we talked about last week, socializing. She's having a conversation about this book, a shared moment, a shared conversation. And that's what's great about reading books with children.
No.
1,
2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 17, 18, 19, 20.
Wow.
Remember these tips for reading aloud to your young child. Keep it a warm and fuzzy time. Involve her in the reading process. Talk as you read to develop language skills. Read with expression. Ham it up. Be yourself. Being close to you and hearing your voice means more to your child than anything else.
So one of the things, I know everyone's busy. I remember reading to both my son and my grandson when they were younger. There's some nights that you just don't have it in you for this really long book. And especially with preschoolers, doing a picture walk, reading part of the book, moving them on quickly, or just talking about the cover, and then setting it aside to read later. It's not the amount of time, but the quality of the experience as you're sharing this book together. Again, reading, repeating books, repeat the same books, take turns. Like you might read a page and then have your preschooler, your toddler, tell their own story about the next page. Read it in their way. Let them take over the story. Pay attention to the words, point them out, expand on utterances. If a child is making a sound in a book, if you're doing an alphabet book or you're talking about apples and they start to say, maybe, oh, that's right, A is for apple. Listen to what they're saying, how they interact, model for them. We'll talk about that toward the end when we talk about if you have a child with a special need who's already identified and how to do a lot of this stuff and really encourage them to increase their skills and to read. Make questions, be dramatic, and slow it down. Slow it down. There's no rush. There's nothing that says you have to finish the whole book in one night. And again, what I would let my child, choose a book, but maybe some books that you're sick of, you kind of put at the bottom of the pile. They always find those books though. Challenges. So now, so I've given you a lot of information. So I know it, like we talk about phonological awareness, and the important thing is to talk to your child, to read with your child, to experience, the world, your child is experiencing the world through your eyes, model for your child. That's really where we begin this whole process of literacy and the whole process of just being educated and learning. You may have challenges with some of this. Reading is a very challenging task for many individual children. For instance, children with limited attention span, if it's just who they are, their personality, or they may be, have a diagnosis of like attention deficit disorder, or they're just very active. They may have a special needs in the area of sensory issues that limits their attention span. Some of the things like we talked about, some of the same things we talked about last week, getting a good timer, setting a timer. I know we all have timers on our phone, but with small children, I like a real visual timer, egg timers. Okay, today, you sat, today we're going to read for a minute. Okay, we read for a minute over time, and oh, you really liked it. Today we're going to read for 2 minutes, and gradually increasing that time. And then get that active child, get their hands busy and moving, turn the page, point to pictures, ask them lots of questions, maybe act out the story. The next, receptive and expressive language. So receptive language is what you're getting, what you're not hearing, what you're listening and understanding. That's what you receive. And you see a lot of adults talking to children, but small children or children who have deficits in that area have a really hard time taking that all in and understanding what you're saying. Like you'll hear people say, well, they just don't listen to me. It's maybe not that they're not listening, but because of a processing problem, they're just not understanding what's coming in. So that's receptive. Expressive is being able to express, to talk, or express in even a nonverbal way. And there are many children where there's a discrepancy between, they may be understanding a lot, but they're just unable to express to you what is going on in the story or in their little worlds. So in that situation, you're going to choose simple books, few or no words. There's a lot of really great picture books. And when I mean, it's kind of confusing. We call children's book picture books, but there are wordless books that are wonderful. And, go to your public library and ask for a wordless book. There's some beautiful illustrations. Those are great things to begin with, pointing out objects, those kinds of things. Interactive books. I'm going to show you some examples of things you can actually make, or if you contact me, I can help you with that. Instead of reading the text, you do a picture walk, act out the story. I mean, what child doesn't want to act out a story with their parent or their relative? Then there's other developmental delays. So you're going to reread, practice. Children who are having a hard time understanding need practice. And what you're doing before they go to school and what you're doing before they get in formal programs, if you practice some of these basics, you're kind of pre-teaching so that when they get it, they'll be more receptive to learning and remembering. Chunk the information, like we said, instead of reading the whole book or teaching the whole alphabet or, just, rambling through that alphabet, all those 26 letters. Today, we're just going to talk about A. Let's see if we can find A. Where's A? Is there A in the sign or in the word in the book on the cereal box? Use adapted text and visuals to support comprehension. I'll show you examples of those. And again, as a special education teacher, I can help you with lots of those materials if you feel that you want to start there. They're great for young children. A lot of the preschool teachers use a lot of these same visuals. Repeat material often, practice basic skills, shapes, colors, concepts, up, down. Think about comprehension, those concepts like up, down, under, over. In order to understand a lot of what, people are asking you to do, especially teachers, you have to understand. We tell children to do this, put this here, go here. And do they really understand what it means to go under or to go over? So making sure you go over those concepts. What if your child doesn't have verbal language yet? Okay. And what I like, a lot of people will say, well, my child's nonverbal. My child's 4, my child's nonverbal. My child's 5, he's nonverbal. What I find is that the child does have sounds, may have words, but for whatever reason, they are not presenting them to you. But I like to say it's a child who presents as nonverbal. And how do you encourage them to read? How do you encourage them to ask questions, answer questions? I do something called, and I've researched this because in school age, those children will need to learn phonics. They will need to learn how to decode words. So how do you approach that with a child who is not yet making sounds or making words or putting sounds together to form words? If they're a child who has a speech and language need. So what do? Use your thinking voice. I did a little, this is my own little video, so please forgive the roughness of it. And this is how you might begin to talk to a preschooler or a kindergartner who may not have verbal language yet, but you still want to present them with reading skills. You want to work on it, and you may find that they really are reading.
Oh, great. You chose the book about the baby. I wonder what that baby's getting ready to do. Use your thinking voice. Right, the baby's getting ready to go to sleep. Look at the word sleep. Use your thinking voice to repeat the word sleep. This book must be about sleep and how to get ready to go to sleep. That's great, because that's what we're going to do right now.
So think about that routine, the idea of the thinking voice. Your child may. I've met many young children who people have, they say, oh, they can't read, they can't speak. And then later we find out that they read very well. So what we're doing here then, we're looking at the picture. Notice we're slowing way down. We're giving wait time. Even students who present as nonverbal, sometimes they will be able to get sounds and words out, but we need to give them more wait time and wait. And then also assume that they're interested, that they're going to learn if we continue to practice with them. So we're going to assume that they want to be there, they want to read, and that they may be understanding what we're saying. And that will help us be able to model better for them. Okay, so the thinking voice, and you can do that in a lot of areas. Okay, we're getting ready. It's raining outside. What should we wear? Should we wear our winter coat or our raincoat? Use your thinking voice. What do you think? Okay, yeah, all right, well, it's raining. We'll wear our raincoat. Giving them some time to process. Adapted books and materials. And I know we're running late. I want to leave a few minutes for questions, but here's some great materials. Over here, we have, this is a nice picture schedule. We'll talk about those more. We talked about them a little bit last week. We'll talk more about that when we prepare children for kindergarten and getting onto a schedule. Books, there's tons of great books. There's, the board books. And here I'm the thing, that's what tape is for. If children rip books, it's just a well-loved book. I mean, you can tell the ones that children love because they've got ears and they're ripped and they've got chocolate on them, and that's great. But these books hold up really well. This is a little busy book. I can send you the PDF, or I can actually help you make it. If you're interested, and this book has lots of, it reviews shapes and colors, parts of the body. And as you can see, so you might work with this with your child, give them the square and the triangle, rip those all off and say, where's the square? Okay, let's put the square. And that can work on a variety of tasks. It can even work with fine motor skills. If your child has been identified having a need with fine motor and may get OT or PT services. So these kinds of books are really good. It works on things like pincer grasp, and that will then later on translate to, can they hold a pencil? And we'll talk more about that next week, excuse me. Dolly Parton's Imagination Library. I think she started this in 2010 or something in honor of her father, who was illiterate, never was able to read. He was a farmer. And I have talked to so many parents who take advantage of this. This is the website. If you go on to Imagination Library, Dolly Parton's Imagination, just Google it, download it here. And then you register and you get it from birth. I think it's from birth. to about 5 or 6 years old, and will get a book every month. And I have talked to many parents who, you see a lot of programs, but they get books every month. And I think you can choose some things and some titles, but that's a really great resource for getting actual books in the hands of your child. Here's another resource. I think I had our folks at Family Engagement send you information if you were on my chat last week. The Clinton, Chelsea Clinton has a foundation, and part of that is part of her foundation is talking about teaching, reading, what you can do early on with children. It's great. And you may have noticed, like at the bus stops, there's posters about, brain activities, and it comes from this foundation. I'm going to click on this. This is great. And you can, I can send you this information. They have this wonderful book. It's a teaching. So their little thing is talking is teaching. If you talk to your child, you're teaching your child. And then this is a great little book. Again, this repetition. It's morning, baby, today for you and me. And then, rhyme. It's great. And then characters that they may recognize. So again, this is a really good resource for your child. Let me see, can I get out of this? Oh my, I have a hard time getting out of these things. My goodness. Okay. So again, this is a really good foundation for information for young children. And then also, I'm not sure how I get out of this. I'm gonna. Sorry about that. Well, I'm sorry. I'm not sure how to get out of this particular screen. I'm having an issue here. Here we go. Let's hope. Okay. Thank you for your patience. Here are some resources. These are at the end. If we share this with you, you'll be able to go right to these resources. This is my my contact information. Please do reach out to me. I can get you lots of resources, if it anywhere from alphabet cards, letter cards, to some of these adapted books that are great to use with really young children. Any questions? I gave you a lot of material, and I could probably go for hours on pre-reading.
Thank you so much, Jackie. Yes, if anyone has any questions, you could put them right in the Q&A bubble at the bottom of your screen. Or we have a small group tonight. If you want to just raise your hand and ask your question, we'll unmute you and let you ask. And these sessions are recorded, so if you ever need to go back for reference, you can find the video chat sessions posted on the Family Engagement page on the Syracuse City School District website.
So, and again, next week I'll be talking about that preparation for kindergarten or for preschool programming if your child is still at home, or if you're waiting for a preschool program, or if your child is aging out of preschool and into kindergarten. If some things you can do at home to help that transition, and you might say, well, oh my goodness, it's December. And even if they're going to kindergarten, it won't be until September. It's never too early to start these things. And again, we're not, I say that the parents are teachers, and I'm not expecting parents to do worksheets and formal kinds of things. But as you can see, those little things that you do with your child make a huge difference. And they help you develop that relationship with them and really prepare them to get ready for school. Because once they start school, that's their job. It can be a lot for some young people.
Great, thank you. We just have a couple of comments. Thanks for taking the time to put together. Oh, it jumped. Together this presentation is much appreciated. Yes, for the prep for pre-K. And thank you for taking the time for providing this information. Much appreciated.
Well, thank you. I really love this. As you can see, this is my passion. Please contact me if you have any questions or want materials. This is the fun part of working with your child at home. It'll be great.
And we do have one question.
Oh.
How can I make my child more comfortable going to school?
Oh, okay. So we are actually specifically talking about some of that next week. But one of the things that I think works is making sure your child, before they go to school, or if they're in a program, if they can go out in the community, making sure they go to places like the public library. If you can go, like our library downtown is excellent. They have a beautiful children's section with lots of toys. It's right near the bus hub, and it's a great place to begin like a outside of home learning experience. If you're having really specific reasons, they're refusing to get on the bus or in the car, if you're transporting them to preschool or kindergarten, you can contact me. A lot of times children need like a visual reminder, visual schedules. I don't know if you can see in one of the slides, I had pictures of that, homeschool schedule, the visual schedules. You can create a going to school schedule or a to-do, or what we call social story. So there's a big practice in current education of social stories. If the child is very resistant to a certain thing, or if they're not learning a certain social skill, you create a little story with pictures or in words that might say, okay, it's time to go to school. I get dressed. I sit with mom on the corner. The bus comes. I say hello to the bus attendant. I go to school and my teacher's waiting for me. And what it does is when a child is hesitant for whatever reason, or if they're really not understanding what's happening or the process, it really helps them practice in their mind. So that would be, getting them outside of home experience as much as possible. And then, if they need even a little bit more nudge, some kind of a visual schedule or just a visual reminder of this is what we're doing, a social story. Does that make sense? Does that help? And again, you're welcome to contact me. I have lots of examples. I can actually create a social story for your individual child. If the issue is going to a particular preschool or kindergarten program, reach out to your teacher. Also, they often can create those stories to help you make that an easier transition. Oh, Roberta.
Sorry, I was muted. Thank you very much. This is a lot of great information. Again, this will be posted on the family engagement page if you need to go back for reference. We are doing this chat again on Thursday at noon if you want to hop on again. Thank you, Jackie, for coming tonight and talking with us. And everyone have a great evening.
Great. Thank you. Thank you.